Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hello and welcome to Cheap Shot Entertainment. I am your host Luke and you are the Cheap Shot Nation, and this video has been brought to you by The Foul Original. Follow them on Twitter, because I entered a competition and I won, which meant that I got to see NWA When Our Shadows Fall for free. So thank you very much, my friend. It was very much appreciated. Big shout out to you. And this pay-per-view I really enjoyed. I haven't seen any NWA National Wrestling Alliance for a long time, since the beginning of the pandemic basically, because they've gotten rid of their YouTube, and quite rightly so. It was all free and things like that, which I really appreciated, but I get the fact that some things got to pay the bills eventually. So When Our Shadows Fall was on the 6th of June, and it came from Atlanta, Georgia, the GPB Studios in Atlanta, Georgia. I had to make sure I got that one right. And we've got quite a few matches to go out here. The thing I really love about NWA, there's no filler. It's just match after match after match. So this pay-per-view was only 2 hours long, which is very palatable. 1 hour less than the horror show that is Raw at the moment. And basically it was a really good show. So if you want to see and hear what I thought about this one, then all you have to do is join me for the main part of the video. So we literally jump straight into the action with a Lucha Rules tag team match. Fatal 4-way, I might add, as well. Lots of action in this one. It was La Rebellion, which is Amarella and Bestia La Rebellion, Amaria, Bestia 666 and Mecha Wolf 450, because why not make the names really complicated. The End, which was Odinson and Paro versus Sal Renaro and Sam Rudo and Marsh Rocket and Slice Boogie. It makes me wonder whether they just typed a load of words into a random word generator and said, yes, that is going to be my wrestling name. Regardless, I really enjoyed this match. It was crazy, it was full on, and it was Lucha Rules. So I don't even know what Lucha Rules are really, but I think from what I know about Lucha Rules, it is that you can roll out of the ring instead of tagging your partner. I think that is the basic premise. But anyway, of course, with a Lucha Rules match, it sort of broke down because, you know, it's American wrestling after all, and it was in fact the Lucha favourites in La Rebellion Amaria that picked up the victory here. So I think the finisher is called Total Rebellion. Quite impressive. There wasn't lots of flippy stuff in this one, but it worked. It worked so well. Now, it was a really good opener. I'm going to put this one in the middle of the road, not literally, because it'd probably get run over, but I'm going to put it right down the middle, pretty much, and give it a 3 out of 5 cheap shots. It wasn't perfect by any means. The craziness does put me off sometimes, but this one was still ultimately very enjoyable. And there you go. La Rebellion wins with Total Rebellion. So the next match was billed as a non-title grudge match between The Pope, who is currently the television champion, I think, in terms of NWA. Like I say, it's been a long time. And he is versing Tyrus, otherwise known as Brodus Clay. Yeah, I mean, Tyrus was never in the best shape of his life, but you can really tell here that he's actually let himself go a little bit. But still, a very entertaining match. The Pope is still very, very good, even from way back when he was in ECW on the WWE. On Sci-Fi, yes, everyone remembers that for the Zombie, but the Pope was in there as well. Pope D'Angelo De Niro was on WWE television, and it's probably one of the better things about the new look ECW, because obviously it didn't last for very long. So this match, of course, Tyrus came down to the ring with Austin Idol. He cut a promo on Pope wearing the t-shirt of the Pope's charity, and saying that he was going to win this match and then take that awful charity and make it actually work. I'm pretty sure it does work. You know, the Pope is pretty damn cool, and Austin Idol is just awesome, because you know, every time he did one of those spoof adverts on NWA television, I always wanted to ring the number and ask about getting into Austin Idol's wrestling school. I don't even know if he has a wrestling school, but the advert was so good that I really wanted to go. But going against the grain here, it would be a distraction. Well, say going against the grain of popularity would be the distraction by Austin Idol, who stayed mainly quiet throughout the whole match, and this match was back and forth. Pope got his stuff in and Tyrus got his stuff in, but it would be that distraction by Austin Idol which would lead to the heart punch by Tyrus after Austin Idol slipped him something into his hand. I'm not quite sure how that makes it more powerful, but apparently it did. I don't know what it was, whether it was like an electronic thing, I don't know, but apparently it made it more powerful, and Tyrus got the win over the champion. So I'm guessing that at some point in the near future these two will come to blows over the championship, and Pope will probably win. But this match was very enjoyable as well, and it gets a big up from me, but it gets, more importantly, 3.5 cheap shots out of 5. I did enjoy this one, but then again, I enjoyed NWA anyway. It's no frills wrestling, and it bring the mainstream back to like the Village Hall and make it really sort of indies without it being indies. I really like some of the stuff they do, including the two tables with the interviewer and the announce team that they do. But yes, really good. I enjoyed this one. We're moving on. The first women's match of the night was a tag team match, and it was Melina and Thunder Rosa. I thought these two had split up ever since Melina turned her back on Thunder Rosa, after Thunder Rosa had won the championship. Of course, it is now on someone else. It is on Serena Deeb, who is going against Camille later on in the night, which we'll get to. And yeah, apparently these two have kissed and made up. I'd like to have seen that video, by the way. Just me. Anybody? Yeah? No? Anybody? Me? Just me. Okay. Right. Yes, this match featured Melina and Thunder Rosa taking on Taryn Tyrell. Yes. And Kylie Ray. Never seen her in action. I was quite impressed. I thought she'd retired, which is why we got the horrible t-shirt in the wrestling crate, which I've now given to a charity shop. It was bloody awful. Wrestle Crate UK. I know you're struggling, but you know, surely you could have done something a little bit better with a name like Kylie Ray. But yes, I was quite impressed by this one. She's the smiley villain, and Smiley Kylie does eventually get the win here, which is very odd, considering Thunder Rosa is, you know, quite high up in the card, or you would expect her to be quite high up in the card, having won that championship. And Melina is pretty much the veteran of this match. But it was Kylie Ray who's come in from her retirement and picked up the victory with this one. And yeah, it's that most devastating move in sports entertainment rearing its ugly head again, the surprise roll-up. With a handful of ties, we get to see everything that Melina's got to offer, and I mean pretty much everything. Bit too much for family television, you know. Surprise roll-up, and Kylie Rae gets the win over Melina, but up until that point, this match again was very enjoyable. So far, 3 matches, 3 very enjoyable matches. I feel entertained. This one gets an up and a 3 cheap shots out of 5 because I can. If you've watched When Our Shadows Fall, let me know in the comments section what you thought of the pay-per-view. You can also join us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. You can get in contact with us there as well. Let us know. We're going to move on. Now this one, much like the Pope versus Tyrus, is a massive throwback to way back when, because it is Fred Rosser, otherwise known as one half of the main event, not main event Mafia, the Primetime Players, in Darren Young. He is here, probably celebrating Pride Month, as well he should, because, you know, he's a gay black wrestler. It's, you know, tick all the boxes for everything that could possibly be a minority. This guy is it, but he's also Mr. No Days Off, and he's very entertaining as well. Versus JTG, who looks like he's been working out. He gives a touching salute to his fallen comrade in Shad, of course. Shad Gaspard lost his life saving his son from drowning. And yeah, again, very entertaining match, and again right down the middle of the road, but it would be an inside cradle from JTG after a hard fought back and forth match that would finish this one off, and JTG picks up the win and the heartfelt tribute to his fallen comrade Shad Gaspard. I'm going to give this one 3 cheap shots out of 5 so far. This is very middle of the road pay-per-view, but ultimately it's very entertaining. I don't mind middle of the road when it's entertaining, you know. There's some far-fetched things here, but we do start picking up when the championships start coming into play, much like any pay-per-view on any brand. So let's move on, shall we? And now, speaking of the Tag Team Championships, the NWA Tag Team Championships are on the line next, featuring a triple threat match where the rules are very slightly different to what I've probably known and what you've probably known. In fact, there is one member of each team in the ring making it a proper triple threat match. And now I'm thinking that they can only tag their own partner sort of thing, but there's always 3 people in the ring, which makes it very, very interesting and makes you wonder, because there's no rules in a triple threat match, whether there was no rules in this one. Didn't quite get explained, but ultimately, again, very entertaining. Like I say, it gets an up because I was very entertained by this. Now, of course, you've got the Walkings versus Strictly Business versus Stevens and Kratos. Again, a heartfelt salute to his fallen comrade, his fallen friend in the question mark. I can see in the background throughout the whole of this pay-per-view the Mongrovian flag hanging just by the side of the Union Jack. I felt very proud of the Mongrovian flag, and yeah, fitting tribute to a man that by all intents and purposes shouldn't have been as popular as he was, but he was. And you know, the world has lost a true master of karate. Right, and now I've got that out of my system, let's talk about the match. So basically what happened in this one is that Kratos was getting kicked and beaten and battered and bruised. In fact, at one point, Strictly Business trapped his leg in between the ring and the steps and kicked it into his leg, taking down the Big Short Man and taking out his power. So they were working on that, and it was actually Kratos who picked up the win here. So Kratos came in with a belt as Aaron Stevens again is getting beaten up, and gets it taken off him by the referee and lands a swift cheap shot to the undercarriage, and Stevens picks up the victory. So we don't get a title change here, but I'm always entertained by Aaron Stevens anyway, because he's Aaron Stevens. I remember all the little videos he did about him being in Hollywood and stuff like that, and all the films he was doing. They were great. Let's get some more of those, NWA. I'm sure they don't cost very much to make, especially when you've got someone as entertaining as Aaron Stevens in your company. So, what do I think of this match? This match was better than it had any right to be fair. Never seen the War Kings. There's lots of different things around war in this NWA roster, but ultimately it's very good. It's a very good roster. Some of the people, I'm going to be honest here, never seen, didn't even know they existed. But that's what I like about wrestling, because sometimes you just need someone that you haven't seen before. There's only so many times you can see New Day versus the Usos, for example, although that is a very good pairing, and I'd quite like to see that again. But again, this was something very, very different, and like I say, it's getting upped by the championships. I'm going to give this one 4 cheap shots out of 5. Really enjoyed this one. It was fast, it was frantic, and it didn't break down until the end. Take note, AEW, you can do a tag team match without lots of interference from the partners, and standing in the ring with your partner while beating up the other team for 10-20 seconds. Come on, let's start counting, referees. You have the authority and you have the power. Just like He-Man. Let's get it done. Women's Championship on the line next. It is the NWA Women's Champion Serena Deeb versus Camille. Like I say, I've not watched a lot of NWA, if any, since the beginning of the pandemic, way back when, last March. So I had no idea what was coming, apart from the cards actually being shown at the beginning of the show. And this one was, again, very entertaining. 2 women who I absolutely adore. I really enjoy their work. Camille is just a brick house, as she's noted to be. Her nickname is the Brick House. And Serena Deeb is fantastic. I mean, I really enjoyed her heel work on AEW Double or Nothing in the pre-show. So I'm not sure what's going off here. Is she a heel in AEW because she's with NWA? I don't know. For some reason she'd come out and she was clapping and saying yay to the fans. Now, you need to make up your mind, Serena, because I'm very confused by this. Of course, you couldn't really have 2 heels, but everyone was shouting for Camille, the heel Camille. And of course, Camille is more of a natural heel than Serena Deeb, because Camille is the big, strong, silent type, whereas Serena Deeb is more of a technician. And 2 contrasting styles here made this one a very entertaining match indeed. So, what happened in this match? It was power versus speed. It was power versus technical ability, and yes, this one was very, very good as well, and it still gets a very high rating. So what do we get? We get a steamroller and almost a spear to finish the match, but eventually Camille did hit another steamroller and hit the spear straight away. Because the ring is a little bit smaller, it doesn't quite have the impact of a Roman Reigns spear, but it's still very good. I can still imagine being hit by that and being winded for quite some time, because Camille is probably bigger than me. And that would get the Women's Championship around the waist of Camille and into the camp of Strictly Business, who currently hold the Women's Championship and the £10 of gold. Sweet Charlotte in their camp. So Camille gets the win here, and it was clean. There was no dirty play, there was no foul play here, pun intended. And yeah, this one was good. A good women's wrestling match? Pfft, never. Not outside SmackDown. What? Actually, AEW's women's match was pretty decent as well on Double or Nothing. Check out that video. So we get a new champion. I'm going to give this one 4 cheap shots out of 5. Great advert for women's wrestling in a company that hasn't got a lot of money behind it, but it's proving that you can do stuff without spending loads of money and selling your soul to Peacock. Yes, Peacock. Right, Camille. And one of the notes here, can't wait to see if Camille turns up in AEW, because that is going to be fun. If you think that is going to happen based on the fact that Shireen Adib was there, then leave us a comment down below. It may happen, and I'm quite looking forward to it. Go on to the main event now. It is, of course, for the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. It is the national treasure, Nick Aldis, who seems like he's held that championship for like forever because of the pandemic, but not only because of the pandemic, he actually held it for a long time before that, versus Trevor Murdoch. This is like the Elite versus the People's Man, and Trevor Murdoch I've always found very entertaining anyway, even when he was in a tag team on WWE television. But more so now he fights for the man, for the little man, and yeah, he put on a really good show here, and he was that close to picking up the championship. In fact, he thought he had the championship won before getting disqualified, and now this is what's knocked this down a peg, because it was a really, really good match. It was well thought out, it was well structured, and there was a definitive beginning, middle and end. But the ending was not necessary. Now let me explain. Tom Latimer comes out with a chair. Nick Aldis uses the chair, hits the ref in the back with the said chair, knocks the referee out. Murdoch returns the favour on Aldis after Aldis hits Trevor Murdoch with the chair, and then locks in the cloverleaf. Nick Aldis passes out. Apparently the referee then says, "Actually, Murdoch, you hit me with the chair," and disqualifies Trevor Murdoch. Really? Come on. That is possibly one of the dumbest finishers ever. Now I get it, I do get it, because Aldis is the ultimate heel, because he's British and not American, you know, and I get that. It is close to Veterans Weekend or whatever it was last weekend, which is the reason that Cody was dressed as an American soldier in the War for Independence against Britain's Anthony Ogogo. You knew which one that was going to go. Right, so what do I think of this one? With Trevor Murdoch getting disqualified, it has been knocked down by half a cheap shot. I was going to give this 4.5 cheap shots out of 5 because it was damn near perfect, but gets knocked down a little bit because of that screwy finish. So we do get a nice promo at the end. It's like, what have I got to do? Now I'm getting disqualified, this, that and the other. I think it's going to lead to a blow-off match. It's going to lead to something bigger between Murdoch and Aldis, and Murdoch is going to get his rematch. May even lead to Aldis dropping the title. I'd like to see the title on Trevor Murdoch. I'd like to see the title on someone else. Love Nick Aldis. He is my boy. He is literally the national treasure. He is absolutely every bit of a champion that you want to see in any wrestling promotion. But now, with all the screwy finishes, he very rarely wins clean. I'm getting a little bit bored of it. Let's do something different. I know it's really difficult to do something different, but let's do it, okay? Just do it. And so, that is everything that happened on When Our Shadows Fall from Atlanta, Georgia, the GPDGZ studios in Atlanta, Georgia. Apparently there was no audience, even though there was an audience. I wonder if that was crew members and perhaps family that were in the audience for that one. But there was definitely crowd noise, and the wrestlers were definitely, pandering to a crowd, which they did show at various points throughout the show. So, do I think that this pay-per-view was worth a buy? Well, hell yes, because, why not? If Double or Nothing was worth a buy, then this one definitely is as well. It's only 2 hours out of your time, and yeah, it's good. It's NWA. If you like NWA, then this one will be right up your street, because NWA were really on a hot streak before the pandemic. I mean, a real hot streak. I mean, I was going to work for 6:15 in the morning, and I had to be there for 6:15 in the morning back then, and I was sat watching NWA before I went to work. That's how much I wanted to watch it. I was absolutely gutted when they couldn't do it anymore, And one of the only shows that I was gutted about, of course, AEW carried on, and so did WWE, but NWA, because it's blurring that line between the indies and the professionals, it's not quite there. It's like the National League of Wrestling. But yes, this pay-per-view was really good. When Our Shadows Fall, definitely worth a watch. And that is it. I've been Luke from Cheap Shot Entertainment. You have been the Cheap Shot Nation. If you've watched When Our Shadows Fall, what do you think of it? What was your favourite match? What was your favourite moment? One more big shout out to Matt Woody Woodward, my good friend from just down the road, my wrestling buddy, so to speak. Someone who I watch wrestling with on a regular basis, or at least I used to, and now things are opening up and we're allowed to. It's going to be happening a lot more as well. For entering my name in that competition, and for Foul Original for picking my name out of that competition, because I returned the favour, of course. And that's what led us to this video, so I hope you've enjoyed it. I will see you next time. Next one is Hell in a Cell. We've also got a retro review of King of the Ring 2001 coming up as well, so check it all out. It's all coming, and once the 21st of June hits, we might get some more independent wrestling here in the UK. So yes, the thing that the channel was built on is coming back to Cheap Shot Entertainment, so make sure you keep it locked right here, Cheap Shot Nation, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.
Hiya.